Oh, please don't tell me you've actually become sweaty and hotty around here for this point, Waluigi. Oh wait, I'm sorry, it was still me on screen. Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mario here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my Let's Play of Super Mario Odyssey for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time we actually did manage to collect every single regional coins, and in addition to that, we also did manage to gather every single power moons in the forms of in a Cascade Kingdom. And today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be continuing on and able to revisiting back to the forms of the Sand Kingdom for, I believe this is actually the third time we're going to be doing this. And as a result though, that way we can able to actually get ourselves not only body forms of the rest of these power moons that we might actually consider getting, but also body forms of how the fact that we might actually go ahead and gather the rest of those regional coins from here. And I believe we've only got about like 10 of those left, so even then though, once that's been done, then we can able to move on to the next kingdom, which should be Wooded Kingdom, I can assuming for this matter. But either way though, let's just go ahead and get started right there, and let's just say we might actually go ahead and teleport ourselves towards for that tower over there. So just in case if for that specific reason, that specifically we need to use that for a shortcut's sake. But either way though, that's not the only reason why. Well, I don't know why I'm truly saying that, but either way though, let's go ahead and zip across from here, and to see what's beyond from this particular distance from here, before you're able to actually activate by the forms of that specific moon rock, or anything like that. So even then though, that way we could able to actually investigate upon things first of all. So yeah, today was actually forms of the 17th of February in 2019, because of how the fact that as I said this before, about the fact the matter is though, is that yesterday we've actually celebrated ourselves the 8th year anniversary of our YouTube channel, and it turns out for that specific video, we did manage to able to did done by the forms of, I would say, by the forms of our Let's Play, or in this case by the forms of that specific game that once again we did manage to able to play through, and that will have to be by the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Amiibo Battles, because either way though, because of that, you know, it's been about, you know, I would say by the forms of 4 years ago actually, since we've actually did done the 4-year anniversary of our channel, and as a result from that particular year in 2015, we did manage to play through by the forms of Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Wii U by the forms of the Amiibo Battles. And as a result though, that'll be the case this time around though, with the forms of, well, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So even then though, because of that though, we just had a, you know, a long blast once again, but this time around though, Sonic did actually joins in, along with Mega Man, and especially notable with the forms of, like, I would say by the forms of Peach and Daisy of all things, but either way though, that's specifically for this matter. But either way, and even Wario as a result of that too. But either way though, except Pac-Man, because I'm presuming he might be busy and all that stuff. So even then though, yeah, that's as far as I can say. And then we, you know, we just had a blast through it. And as a result though, I would love to able, we still wish if we able to actually do this Let's Play for the time, but of course that specific Let's Play is going to be delayed until next year, just because of how the fact that we need to concentrate on majority of everything else. So, as a result though, I do apologize for that. So anyways though, that's it for that explanation for this point. I would able to continuing discussion about the forms of Nintendo Direct by the forms of recently. About the fact the matter is though, is that I did already mention about several things by the forms of 2 days ago actually. So naturally I like to, oh dang it. Seriously, it's really hard to control with the forms of those rocket flowers sometimes. I think it's most likely because if I accidentally moved my analog stick in some form or another from my Nintendo Switch Pro controller, sometimes I easily lose footing of myself though, so even then though, that's entirely my fault. So, anyways though, let's try that again, and yeah, as a result though, yeah, not much else to really say, other than there was actually like continuation of those, there was actually a key right there. I think the only reason why I accidentally died from this point is because, well, turns out there was actually a key right there. In fact, this might actually be one of the first difficult missions in the entire game, just because, by the forms of that though, you only have like one attempt to do this if you manage to able to not being very careful at it at all. Because if you manage to land on that specific platform, as you can see right there, the actual platforming, as far as this particular section will go, it starts to sink. So as a result, we need to hurry things up, because even then though, if we do not even make it though in time, well, we have to redo the entire process again. So even then though, that might be easily the first difficult mission in the entirety of the forms of the majority of, let's just say the second half, or in this case the post-game sequences, which I could assure you to that it might be something more logic than that. So, sinking carousel ruins, hurry, because that's as far as the actual missions goes, we have to hurry. So, yeah, you get the idea for that point. So, yeah, let's get to the forms of the continuation about the forms of the actual discussion of the forms of the Nintendo Direct so far, back in during the likes of in about, like, about 4 days ago, at this point right about now. First of all, because I've already mentioned about the forms of quite a few things, but the forms of Super Mario Maker 2 for the Nintendo Switch, and especially noticeable with the forms of Captain Toad Treasure Tracker DLC is about to be coming, and especially noticeable with the forms of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate version 3.0, and then I'm really looking forward to that. And as a result, though, there's also another thing that's worth mentioning, which is the fact that first of all they've next up they actually show us is the forms of the new gameplay footage of that upcoming Marvel superhero game, which I don't know exactly what that game is actually called, but either way though, I do apologize for that specific point. And, it's alright. I mean, it's basically just a, beat 'em up game or anything like that. You know, kind of like in other games, including that terrible freaking Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, and I just absolutely... I'm sorry, I'm just really despise Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric so much because it just feels wrong in so many levels in my opinion. But either way though, that's besides the point. Even though some people seem to able to going to get the new Marvel game coming out by the forms of, I would say at this point the actual release date of that new Marvel game onto the Nintendo Switch is going to be releasing at some point in summer this year. So even then, that makes it purely obvious. So I don't know if I can able to get that game because I was quite a good fan of, I'm not exactly a hardcore Marvel fanatic, I'm gonna tell you that right about now, just because I haven't really watched too many of these kinds of stuff. The only, exception being is of course the Avengers and, Captain America, the Civil War, or something like that. Oh jeez, I'm almost gonna die right there. And in fact the matter is though is that I almost did. So, naturally, I would be safe from here, so... Anyways, let's go ahead and just use this particular Stone Eye-looking enemies, so that way we can able to easily see the transparent platforms here, so... But even then, though, that's how I can usually roll from that. So, another thing they actually mentioned with the forms of Nintendo's, Nintendo Direct, but the forms of, 4 days ago... the fact of the matter is, though, is the fact that they actually did show us by the forms of new gameplay footage of, Yoshi's Crafted World. And as far as I can tell, that they actually did manage to showcase off some of these costumes, which I think they already technically done that on Nintendo Treehouse by the forms of in 2018, just to show off by the forms of not only the game itself, but also by the forms of, some costumes, including 2-player co-op aspects, which either way, speaking of such, is the fact that since that Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn is going to be, almost going to be released at some point during, next month, in fact, it's not that long at this point, and then as a result, though, unlike the Nintendo Wii counterparts of it, though, normally on the Wii version of Kirby's Epic Yarn, that, normally does have by the forms of 2-player option, but that's not the case on the 3DS version this time around, which I can assume to say, I think the 3DS sales is going to go downhill right now, just because, well, at this point they're going to be moving on to the Nintendo Switch as of now. So even then though, that's to be expected at this point. So even then though, let's just go ahead and just, whoa, let's just get off him, because if you somehow, going off course or anything like that, well, obviously you're probably not going to make it in time, so... I believe they only gets like 40 seconds until you're able to actually beat Red Cooper from this first race, so there we go then. In this case, Sand Kingdom regular cup. So, again, I do apologize by the phones of my voice at the moment. It's because, well, recently I just had too much pizza on me. So even then, though, I do apologize for that. And as a result, though, hopefully my voice should be a lot more better until whenever we get to the next kingdom. So, but I digress. So, yeah, we're now moving on to Cooper free running in Master's class right now, and seems if you're able to actually using that Jaxi right here, it just makes it a lot more easier to able to actually override it with it, because as a result, you can just simply either go to that little zip line, or you can able to ride on that Jaxi over there. But the only thing you need to watch out for is of course the NPC townspeople, because if you accidentally almost run into them, sometimes the Jaxi itself will able to actually decide to go ahead and just go like, oh, sorry, that was my fault, or anything like that. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. So there we go, we actually did manage to beat the Golden Koopa Trooper for about almost 1 second or 2, which is pretty close if you ask me, if only if I able to actually do not get bumped up by the forms of the actual NPC townspeople or anything like that. So, there we go, that's it for the Koopa free running in the Sand Kingdom, so now let's go ahead and move along. So, naturally speaking so far, that how the fact of the matter is though, is that fundamentally though, I can assuming that, my Nintendo Switch at the moment is actually blowing really hard when it comes to fans or something like that. This is because of how the fact that I'm presuming this environment is huge, or anything like that. Or perhaps it's maybe because I haven't usually played my Switch for quite some time, along with, well, other games especially, which I still need to get back into. Speaking of such, I've managed to able to actually get things started properly of the forms of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which either way, it does take a while to get used to again by the forms of the Zelda games at this rate, because at this point, the reason why I'm going to be coming back into the Legend of Zelda series at this point on my own time, including to able to actually complete them on my own time, specifically the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the N64, and especially noticeable with, of course, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, even though I don't know if I can able to complete that game for the entire year, but I can assure to that I definitely would be. But at the same time, that game is going to be gigantic as it is. So even then, though, because of that, though, of the celebration of the remake of... I'll explain more on that later, because either way, the next thing of Nintendo Directs they actually did mention is, of course, the actual main focus of it is, of course, Fire Emblem Three Houses. And, well, I wasn't really particularly a huge fan of Fire Emblem, honestly. I know some people seem to able to enjoy Fire Emblem so much, including by the forms of the 3DS installment, which is of course Fire Emblem Awakening. And as a result though, that, well, first of all, when it comes to the forms of Fire Emblem Three Houses, they did have a, let's just say, I wasn't really a pure expert when it comes to explaining on the forms of Fire Emblem Three Houses. I know it's generally by the forms of a RPG strategy game, because of how the fact that you need to able to use the grid system. You know, kind of like how we did in most of these Mario Party games on the 3DS, specifically Mario Party Star Rush, and especially noticeable with Mario Party the Top 100 in the in the minigame match. But as a result though, that I haven't really purchasing those Fire Emblem games, because most of the time, if I remember correctly, is that ever since the Path of Radiance for the GameCube and Radiant Dawn, those two games are gonna be by far the most expensive games there's ever contrived with, because either way, I'm pretty sure because of how the fact that most people didn't seem to play these games as much, compared to the forms of Mario or the Legend of Zelda series or Kirby series as of now, and basically pretty much everything else for this part really, so... Anyways though, before we're able to continue on, there's Princess Peach right there, so... To think this large or huge stone thing could float, the world is filled with wonders. How does it float? Why is it, you know, invented so mysterious? Even I found a power moon in the sand. Take good care of it. Again, I do apologize by the forms of the text errors, but either way though, for when it comes to reading and stuff, so... I was just thinking about that place with a beautiful flower fields. I'd like to see them again. means there might be a hint that we might actually go ahead and explore next is, of course, Bullet Kingdom. See, Fernando, that's the only next destination we can go to next. But, before we do that, however, though, we need to obviously concentrate on the Sand Kingdom as of now. See, Fernando, though, we've actually gone quite close towards the end of, the Sand Kingdom's completionist. See, even then, that, well, we still have the forms of, I would say still 10, regional coins left, which I'm sure enough we can able to find them there. And, as a result, though, things should able to actually just to be, well, pretty sporadic, if you ask me, for this matter. So anyways, though, I wonder what, location I was gonna be thinking of where I should go next. And you know what, though, let's just transport her here. Yeah, let's just get back into the discussion of the forms of Fire Emblem 3 houses, whatever they first, announced, something new here. Is of course not only by the forms of the actual gameplay footage, but it's also by the forms of how the fact that, well, they actually got themselves the release date now, which, originally this was supposed to be released until in spring, but of course, much like in the forms of Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle Donkey Kong Adventure DLC pack back in 2018, they go ahead and delay that and during the summer, because either way, and as far as the actual summer season, as far as I'm concerned, it will actually release that until July the 26th. So even then, though, that will be about 7 days after the Lion King remake. So even then, though, that's pretty strange if you ask me. But either way, though, that's just how I can think about it. But again, I don't know if I can able to get that game because obviously, I'm not exactly a hardcore Fire Emblem series, although the only time I was interested with Fire Emblem series is of course Super Smash Bros. Series, which I'm sure enough that's what usually as far as I can say, because even then, it's entirely up to in my opinion, but I'm sure many people already has their own opinions as well, so even then though, to make matters even much more often than that, then you know, you get the idea for the solutions here, so. And as far as, everything else will go, as far as the actual next announcements they actually did discuss, is of course by the forms of not only does he able to actually announce one Dragon Quest game, which is essentially Dragon Quest Builders 2 game is now going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch, but also by the forms of Dragon Quest 11S, by the forms of that definitive addition to the game, which either way, because, you know, make it as a gigantic port or anything like that, or in this case, it's really hard to explain about the forms of some discussion sometimes, but either way though, that's as far as I can think about it. So even then, I have no idea why I'm trying to able to actually waste my time and just waste my death here, because of that specific bird. I'm guessing because I've already just managed to grab that power moon from here, so even then, that is pretty misunderstanding right there, but enough about that topic. So even then, as far as releasing by those Dragon Quest games for the Nintendo Switch, most notably Builders 2 and the forms of 11S Definitive Edition, it's pretty hard to explain because I haven't really watched upon these too many of those Dragon Quest videos, because either way though, because again, I'll get to more details onto that as soon as I discuss upon the final game, but either way though, that's just how I think it is. The next game they did actually show us is of course a new Platinum game, Platinum Games game, which originally was supposed to be Bayonetta 3, but it turns out it wasn't, because either way though, it's been replaced by something else. But either way though, I'm probably not going to mention about that, but either way though, another thing they actually did announce is of course there is actually a Disney Tusum Festival, which either way though, is actually based off by the forms of the Tusum game or something like that. But again, it's really hard to pronounce those things sometimes, just because, well, I haven't really collected upon these little plushy toys or anything like that, just because. Can you get in that pipe, please? Oh, frick. There we go. Oh, jeez, my pipe doesn't seem to register with me sometimes. But anyways though, as far as I can say, by the forms of that game, they actually did announce the new Disney game. It's kind of like Mario Party, but except, well, a Disney version counterpart. So, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. Nothing too special for me. And, another thing they actually did announce is, of course, a new eShop game, which I could assume this actually may actually represent something related to a puzzle game, which by all means by that, we have Tetris 99. What it means by that, well, it's basically Tetris, but only you can able to actually play... Oh, wow, I actually did wasted all of a lot of water. Oh, that's my fault. Still, I can't deny by that solution, so anyway. With the Tetris 99, not only does it actually play exactly like Tetris all over again, because there are so many Tetris versions across the entire world, even though you can no longer get the forms of Tetris Party from the WiiWare now, just because, you know, the WiiWare, as far as Wii Shop channel is concerned, is now dead, which, if I didn't get Tetris Party, the original version of the game, on the WiiWare, I could appreciate if I was trying to get it on the original, the deluxe variation, because of new features and all that stuff, but I have no idea why I've actually no longer have that, so either way though, that's a simple purpose. So anyways though, not only does it able to actually contain the same Tetris gameplay as far as we all know and love back in the day, but also, get this, you can actually able to compete against not only one, but 99, or in this case specifically 98 players, just because, first of all, it's going to be 100 players, just like in forms of other games, like, you know, the top 100 mini-games from Mario Party, the top 100, for instance. But, turns out it was actually 99 players. But either way though, if you play that game all by yourself, it usually counts as one. So if you play in this game in, I'm presuming in online play, when it comes to like, if you're playing Tetris 99, you have to compete against with 98 players, which is pretty insane if you ask me. But even then, it's a pretty cool concept here and there. But I don't know if I can able to pick that up because of how the fact that, you know how the fact that there's gonna be like so many Tetris versions these days now, especially ever since by the forms of since in 1985. Although, kind of think about it though, is the fact that Tetris has been out for the original Game Boy. It's gonna be almost out until for about, I would say 40 years at this point, or in this case, to be more exactly, 50 years or something, or no. It's hard to explain, because either way though, specifically 35 years old when it comes to the forms of Tetris series, well, specifically the original Tetris back in the original Game Boy. So yeah, I can't believe until next year it's going to be the 35th anniversary for not only the Tetris series, but also by the forms of the Super Mario Bros. Series, which, sure enough, I think we might actually get something by the forms of the Nintendo Switch installment of the, you know, the Super Mario Bros. Anniversary game, because, you know, by the forms of that though, we got a 20th anniversary back in about 2005. They did reveal the Famicom color variation of the Game Boy Micro, and in 2010 we've got the Super Mario All-Stars game, but on the Nintendo Wii packaging, on the forms of the 25th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Series. And especially noticeable in 2015 that we've got Super Mario Maker by the forms of the 30th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Series. Now I wonder if this is going to be the case with the forms of the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Series. It might not be Super Mario Maker 2 though, just because of how the fact that, well, it's already been just announced recently, which I've already said that before in yesterday's video, or, no, not yesterday's video, but it forms about in 2 days ago. So, naturally, so, then, you know, I'm still looking forward to that. So, I guess there's another thing I just want to point out, and especially I might as well able to save the best thing for last, because I don't know if I can able to explain most of the majority parts of, you know, the Japanese anime games, because they always spawned in with the forms of Japanese anime games a lot, even by the forms of that specific direct, which I'll get into my only gripe I have with the forms of this particular direct after I discuss upon the last and the final game I'd like to talk about, actually. The fact of the matter is, though, is that I saved the best for last, because either way, though, because I really cannot believe they actually did manage to able to announce a remake of the Game Boy installment of the Legend of Zelda series, because originally it was supposed to be the Skyward Sword as the forms of the HD port, or in this case by the forms of a remake of Phantom Hourglass, or in this case Spirit Tracks, but it turns out it wasn't, because either way, or even a remake of The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap, but it turns out it was actually a remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening ever since the original Game Boy in 1993, and I was like, oh my god, I'm actually looking forward to that actually. But either way though, because I've already completely done with The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX on my own time on my 3DS eShop download, because even then though, since I actually completely done with that game entirely, then, you know, I'm actually up for it with the forms of the actual upcoming remake. And I'm sure enough the release date on that specific remake of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch, I've heard they're going to be saying about the forms of at some point in 2019, even though that first of all they need to show more gameplay footage of that game until before when E3 2019 is going to be approaching. So even then though, I guess that makes it obvious. So even then though, you know, just like in other games back in the day with the forms of, like, let's just say Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on last year. In 2017 is of course Super Mario Odyssey, and especially noticeable in 2016, which is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And I'm not sure about the forms of that specific year's main focus is, but even then though, we'll find out at some point in June. So even then though, like, possibly new forms of the 11th of June, 12th of June, and even the 13th of June, but I digress. So, speaking of the forms of Yoshi's Crafted World, actually, about the fact of the matter is, though, is that recently we have actually got ourselves our downloadable playable demo of the forms of Yoshi's Crafted World. And I did manage to test that out, and, overall, I actually did really enjoy it. Sure, it might take some time to able to get used to with the actual game. I mean, graphically speaking, the new forms of Yoshi's Crafted World is absolutely fantastic, even by the forms of how the fact that it's been made, you know, made by the forms of the Unreal Engine 4, if I might well be mistaken. But either way though, I'm really looking forward to able to actually trying out the final version of the game. But either way, we still only got about like a month to go right now. Even when that game is now finally being released. So even then though, that's because, you know, that's how it usually gets. And another thing I just want to talk about actually is the fact that recently I managed to able to saw a brand new film I actually watched during today. But by the forms of that though, originally I was going to be seeing How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, but unfortunately though I didn't get enough chance to able to actually watch it because, well, first of all, I still have not seen the second film yet, which is the only film I need to able to watch first before I jump into the forms of The Hidden World. Then after that, then I can able to actually watch that. But instead, I actually did manage to watch the sequel to the forms of the Lego Movie, but the forms of the Lego Movie 2, but the forms of the Lego Movie 2, the second part for those who lived in North America. And for what I've watched it, even though I'm not going to spoil things too much, just because obviously that film came out about, I would say for about a week ago or something like that, or actually I think it was roughly about 2 weeks ago right about now, and as a result for this matter, it was actually pretty great actually. Sure, it wasn't as perfect as the forms of the first film is handled, but usually because that's what most sequels didn't usually become as perfect as the originals. Like for instance, for example, how do I describe it? Like, the first Incredibles film was amazing, even by the forms of, and also by the forms of Finding Nemo as well. And whenever the sequels came around, by the forms of the Finding Dory, and especially the Incredibles 2, but they're still great all in all, but it wasn't nearly as the masterpiece as compared to the originals though. But even then though, that is still a very pleasant experience. But again, I'm not going to spoil things too much with the Lego Movie 2, because I'll let you see it for yourself, for you guys. If it's not your kind of thing, then more power to you, because either way though, that's I know some people seem to have their mixed perceptions to the forms of the Lego Movie series at this point. Well, at least the first film was super amazing back in 2014, and I'm very glad that I'm now able to actually get a chance to see the Lego Movie 2. Even though way more better to me though, compared to the forms of the third Lego movie, which is of course the Lego Ninjago movie, which to be honest I think is easily the weakest films to me though, but just because I wasn't really a huge Ninjago fan or anything like that, but I'm usually enjoyed watching through the Lego Batman movie, at least back in 2017. And as a matter of fact, though, yeah, that's as far as I can say about it. So, and I guess that was about it, obviously, for the actual discussions to be pointing things out. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about something by the forms of the rest of the direct, actually, of what's my final thoughts of it. After whenever I watched the entire thing, well, as I said this before, it's alright, but to me, I found it's kind of disappointing. Not awful, not in an awful way, but in the forms of that specific thing I want to point things out right away. There are so many Japanese RPGs they actually showcase. Like, either way though, because I wasn't really a hardcore Japanese anime fan, while usually becomes a huge fan with the forms of Dragon Ball Z / Dragon Ball Super, and especially notable for Sword Art Online. And that's because of the fact that its entire property of video games department tie-ins. So even then, that because of that though, it just puts way too many emphasis on the forms of Japanese JRPGs or anything like that on that specific direct, which unfortunately though, there was no new information about the forms of the next Pikmin game, and hell, even there is no information on the next generation of Pokemon, in this case Generation 8. Well, I understand because of how the fact that they'll save the new Pokemon title coming over to the forms of E3 this year, so even though that makes it purely obvious. And especially notable for, I don't know if Pikmin 4 will be on its way, or in this case the Pikmin 3 port to the Switch will be on its way. But even then though, sometimes rumors can easily be fake out, and even then though, sometimes because as a result, that some of these informations are pretty much unclear when it comes to those specific, information in mind. So even then though, that's as far as I can say. So, but anyways, what I've watched it, as I said before, it's alright, but not my all-time favorite Nintendo Directs though, because unlike in I would say easily my top favorite Nintendo Direct at this point throughout the years. I think it might actually be something related to, I would say that in September 2017, just because of Super Mario Odyssey was actually the main focus from this point. And sure, there are some disappointment moments, or in this case, there are some disappointing moments, like for instance, Mario Party the Top 100 was not on the Switch, but on the 3DS instead. But either way though, that I just wish if that will be the case though, because even then, it would be so great with the actual concept of it, but why on the 3DS though, I have no freaking clue. But even then though, that's as far as my nitpicking as far as I'm concerned. And plus, since then that Mario Party the Top 100 was almost about to be releasing it, well, they have been released that game, or in this case, the minigame compilation for quite a long while, at least ever since by the forms of like, I would say by the forms of about a year, and at this point 3 months. Well, usually as far as I can usually record that, but either way though, it's been such a long while since that the Top 100 game has been released. So yeah, for the 3DS that's it is. So by the way, as you can see that right there, we're about to be doing a musical note type of challenge. However though, as you can tell, because I'm actually just kind of wasting my time to able to actually realize about something like this, because of that though, I don't think the rolling ability will not work like that. So even then though, because I keep on thinking of the later on throughout in this game offers me to able to actually deal with a rolling ability. But even then though, that could be on the next kingdom. But even then though, we'll save that until the next video, until at some point in some days. But either way though, because of that, after this video has been up, I'm actually going to be taking a break for a while for able to actually coming back to this, is because obviously that I'll let Piglet needs to get back into the forms of Super Mario Galaxy. So even then though, because after when he's done the rest of all this Super Mario Galaxy videos up to this point, then you would be able to actually accomplish that before when March is on its way. And I missed that single note. Oh jeez, I'm having a bad time with this mission though for some reason, because again, the only trickiest part about this mission though is that I found myself easy to lose control of myself with the Jaxie and stuff. I'm not sure because the forms of the actual hills slanted hills, and that makes me a little bit more screwed over, especially with the forms of handling. But apart from that though, once you're able to get used to that, then you would be fine for the most part, and I do apologize by the forms of wasting time on that specific power moon I've got. Taking notes, running down. Yeah, it's running down. So, yeah, that's as far as I can say about the forms of the explanation about the forms of today's video, ladies and gentlemen, because as a result from that, I'm really looking forward to able to coming back into the Zelda series, for at least for once, until, you know, before when the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening remake will be on its way. So then, for the time being, I'm going to be playing the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the original N64, and also same applies for Zelda Majora's Mask for the original N64, and both versions of Twilight Princess and The Wind Waker, and especially notable with the forms of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, and even The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So even then, once I've played those, whatever when the Link's Awakening remake will be on its way for the Nintendo Switch, then I would able to actually play that game during that time. So even then though, because, you know, I've obviously already completed the original version of Link's Awakening, specifically the Game Boy Color version, because the Game Boy Color version actually introduced into ourselves, you know, the Color Dungeon, or in this case, the Game Boy Color exclusive dungeon, where you're able to actually accept, to be able to get yourselves, the red, tunic, or in this case, well, red tunic, or in this case, a red shirt, which allows you to be able to actually add up to your, power increase. Or the blue shirt allows you to be able to get defense increased. And I believe I might be wrong, but I'm really hoping that color exclusive dungeon will make a return on the forms of the actual remake of you know, Link's Awakening remake on the Nintendo Switch. But I'm sure it might will be, because obviously nowadays everything is now in color now. So even then, as a result, it could eventually what happens. So even then, that may be the case. But yeah, you get the solutions for this point. So, yeah, that's as far as I can say about the forms of today's video. So even then, I'm quite pleased about the forms of the actual some surprising announcements. But the forms of, you know, for one thing, the only positive thing I can think of with this Direct, though, is the fact that, well, it's just Nintendo Switch focus. And as a result, though, no 3DS software as far as I'm concerned. And I was like, whew, thank God. Even then, nothing too much of an issue with the forms of the 3DS itself. It's just that, again, that we are now potentially moving on to the forms of the different system as of now. So even then, that's because, you know, Nintendo Switch is doing super well. So yeah, there you get the idea. There it is. I've been looking for that. Jeez, I'm so sick of the forms of, like, catching those bunnies again. But either way, though, because of that, though, eventually at this point, catching those rabbits can get pretty tricky sometimes, especially because of how the fact that every now and then that it gets a little bit more ridiculously fast at this rate, and as a result though, that's as far as I can say about it. Okay, so that it does it with that, and before we continue to finding some more of those power moons, and we're still off by 3 regional coins left, so hopefully I can might as well able to actually find some at this point in time. But either way though, I wonder where the last 3 could be. In fact, let me do a jump cut right there so that I need to point things out where the regional coins there are. Okay, quick error right there, and it turns out that I found a solution. It's gonna be at the very edge of the actual desert, or in this case, the actual Sand Kingdom. So as a result, though, that might actually be the location that where the final 3 regional coins is gonna be located. So even then, though, once that's been done, then we could able to actually just go ahead and spend all of our regional coins in, of course, Sand Kingdom. So let's go ahead and I've only just grabbed 1. I thought I was gonna grab all 3 of them. Oh, jeez. Having bad luck for this point, and I actually restart from here, oddly enough. Oh yeah, because of how the fact that I have no idea why I just went through here. Anyways though, well, good thing that, you know, we actually come to the exact same spot as from before. So anyways, let's go ahead and grab there we go. So now we've actually got every single regional coins from the Sand Kingdom. So now let's go ahead and just spend it all to able to actually get, if I remember correctly, that we might actually get the final 2 items, or in this case, the Sand Kingdom items, which are essentially both of those souvenirs. And as a result, though, yeah, everything else will become together. But before we do that, let me just double check if there are some solutions I need to probably gonna be thinking of. Because first of all, we got a hint art, which, if I remember correctly, is gonna be takes place in Bowser's Kingdom. See, Fernando, we'll definitely get to that at some point. See, Fernando, don't worry, surely we'll get to that. And, yeah, let's just get into here, and, of course, we'll purchase the forms of the last, 2 items here, by the forms of the Cap Kingdom exclusive items, well, specifically the souvenirs, mind you, and everything else is done with the forms of regional coins. So, that takes care of that, and now let's head back out, and let's just go ahead, and before we leave this kingdom for the time being, we'll go ahead and, traverse through here, until we're able to actually get fastest traveling through here. And then as a result, though, we could able to actually get ourselves the last power moon for the time being. Even though we've already got, 3 more power moons to go before this kingdom is actually fully being concluded. And as far as for that specific standpoint will go, I think it's going to be on the exact same location as whenever you're trying to fight through Knuckle Toe or something like that. And, with the one that you have to be able to smash his, that draw face, until you're able to actually use that little, knuckle fist. And even then, though, that's as far as I can say about here. Again, there's not much else to explain about this here. You can go down there if you wanted to able to make your journey a little bit more safer. But I'm actually going to be doing this in a quicker fashion way, just because, well, obviously, it's a little bit more, the similar way for what we actually have already done, by the forms of, the Mombi-looking, enemies that we actually come across, such as, like, this section, so... But, let's just skip that for the time being, because obviously, we need to get onto this little, catapult, or a slingshot, so that way we could able to see that giant ring over there. And you see that little glowing spot on top of that? Well, obviously Cappy will not do a thing, but ground pound the actual draw part, and then the power moon appears. So, there we go. And this mission is called, Binding Band Returned. So, I believe that might actually be one of the, wedding items, actually. So, yeah, I think we're pretty much done here. So, well, generally speaking, we've only got 2 more power moons to go. But even then, we'll find things more on that until whenever we get to the later portion of the game so far. So anyways, let's go ahead and deliver it about, I would say at this point we've got 25 of those power moons so far, which is pretty good, but not as many as it used to be. So, and that actually leads us to 464 power moons. So, and I believe we got ourselves 36 power moons to go until whenever we actually unlock something new throughout. But even then, we'll mention about that later on. So, yeah, that takes care of Sand Kingdom for now. And now we can actually transport to ourselves the next kingdom that we can able to revisit in. And that is, of course, Wooded Kingdom. So even then, though, as far as progression on that kingdom is concerned, we haven't done that much in terms of, like, what missions have we done. Especially noticeable with those regional coins especially, too. But even then, we'll find those during that time. So even then, once again, the moon rock was there, and I believe it was actually behind a tree somewhere. But, once again, much like in the forms of in the last video, before I end this off, we'll go ahead and change into a different costume. But this time around, though, we'll, let's go for a Doctor themed. Well, specifically Dr. Mario themed. Well, apart from the fact that, well, we are working at the forms of that specific matter, because, after all, we've already weared a Luigi costume from the Cap Kingdom, and Wario's costume for the Cascade Kingdom, and of course, Sand Kingdom as Waluigi. So, now it's time for Dr. Mario starts to shine. So even then, because of that, though, I feel like it, because either way, that is potentially trying to go for it. So, yeah, with that being said, we're going to end things off at this point right there, so join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario Odyssey. Here's the fact that we're about to be returning back to Wooded Kingdom to be able to actually deal with even more power moons as a result. And eventually we might actually get ourselves 22 remainings of the regional coins. Or in this case 12. Yeah, it's definitely 12. I keep thinking of something else for a moment. But anyways. So yeah, see you guys next time. Later, fellas.